Guys, this is a 2013 Chevy Cruze, 1.8 liter. Does not have the turbo. Normally aspirated is what this engine is. However, I'm gonna do a brake change on this, at least front brake change. It's gonna be disc brakes. Number one, I always take the cap off of the brake fluid reservoir so that when I compress the disc piston, it doesn't create too much pressure. It makes it easier for the piston to go in. Two, ensure your emergency brake is set. Number three, make sure you have some wood or something to chock the wheels so you don't roll. I'm on level ground, I'm in my garage, so it won't be too hard for me. Have a lifting point with a floor jack. And let's begin. Of course, these are the pads, they're ceramic. I also have new disc rotors, so I can go ahead and replace those since I'm doing the brake change. This is the LS model, so it's very basic, doesn't have any rims. I have to take these hubcaps off, or imitation rims. It's pretty easy to do. It should be a 19mm socket, and you just basically loosen them. You can do them by finger after that. I have the wheel turned, so I don't have to do it later. It makes it easier taking the bolts off of the caliper easier, because you can access them with the wheel turned versus having to, I guess, bend your neck and try to reach behind, and you don't have that much room for your wheel well. This makes it so much easier. The parts that I found, I sourced them out on eBay. The whole rotor and ceramic pads was, I think it was like $62 delivered. So it makes it a little easier doing it yourself instead of paying the dealer a fortune. But once this is done, next step is breaking these guys. So that'll be the probably the hardest part for the wheel assembly. So all you want to do is just, I don't have a breaker bar, or should I say it's in the back of one of the other cars. I don't feel like grabbing it. So all I do is just get a little something to get leverage. And that's it. So let me do that real quick. Even though I'm not putting the rim on, I always like to go in a star pattern. Kind of helps with the stress of the wheel. If you heard that, that's what I'm talking about. Remember, you're only loosening them, you're not taking them off. Once they're loose, now you can go and raise the car. Take the wheel off the ground, because we will be taking it off the hub. Give yourself enough room to work with. It doesn't have to be super high. Now you can go ahead and continue loosening the wheels, or the lug nuts off the wheel. I do it the old-fashioned way, so I don't strip any of the threads. I do have an impact wrench that's battery operated. Fortunately, the battery's dead, but either way, I like to do things where I'm engaged. I didn't expect the pads and the rotor to come in today. I was expecting them tomorrow, so I didn't even charge it. So even if I wanted to use it, it's dead anyways right now. Everybody gives the Cruze not the average 5 stars in ratings, but once you know how to work on them, it's a fun little car to have and very efficient on fuel. It's just if you have time on your hands, I guess. But this is normal wear and tear anyways. Make sure you set your tire aside where it won't fall over and hit anything. All right. Here's your meat and potatoes. So today what we're gonna be doing is replacing this guy, rotor. It's a little warped, so you get a little vibration on your steering wheel when you're driving. Since I'm out, new rotor, go ahead and get new pads on. So first thing I'm gonna do is loosen this guy. Once that's loose, I won't take it off completely. That's what holds the rotor on. I forgot what size that is actually. I think it's like a T30. Yeah, T30, that's what it is. All right, I'm gonna sit the phone down. Let you guys watch. It's not really tight. There's a torque spec for it, but it's just there to kind of keep the rotor from sliding all over the place. Because once your lug nuts are on, that's what basically keeps it nice and tight. All right, we'll come back to that. Next step, we're gonna go ahead and loosen the caliper itself. So I'm gonna shift the camera so you can see on this side. So there's a couple bolts here. You're gonna see this bolt right here. That's your top mounting assembly bolt. And this one back here. This is your lower. So there's 2 bolts that hold the whole caliper to your knuckle. So with that being said, this is why I have the steering wheel turned over so you can access it. That should be a 19 millimeter, and a little extension might help. Let me see. Yep, it's a 19 mil. So what I'll do, go ahead and set the camera here so you guys can kind of see. And same principle. Get a little leverage or have a breaker bar, and all you want to do is just put a little torque to it and break it off or loosen it. Alright guys, hopefully the camera won't fall. I don't have a suction cup or anything. Alright, that loosened that one. Now let's work on the top one. Once again, this is where we're going to access this one. It's a little tight because of the shock assembly, or your strut assembly, lower part of it, where it mounts. That's the reason why having an extension will usually help. You don't want a long one because then you'll end up hitting the fender liner. It makes it a mess. Come right off like that. Go ahead and loosen. Now, before I completely take this out, this is the whole point of loosening or taking the cap off of your reservoir for your brake fluid, because we're going to be moving the piston, which is right here, in so that you have a little bit of working room when you go to install the new brake pads, because they're going to be a little thicker and the piston's already set at a set point. So you can kind of see it's already pretty much loose. All I want to do is just take it off, and then we want to take this and remove it from the mounting bracket so we can hang it from there. Or you can get some zip ties, whichever works for you. I don't plan on having it off long, so it's not going to be like it's hanging. The last thing you want to do is damage your brake line. But aside that, the car is pretty easy. I think my wife could do this, honestly. So I always put the bolts back in the same orientation, top back to top, or top bolt back to the top mounting hole, the bottom one back to the bottom. You don't want to mix threads if they're already mated. So top, top, bottom, bottom. Now, surprisingly, this rotor is pretty loose. Usually they're rusted on there. So what I do, very gently, hang it between the nut and the actual casing. And while you do that, you can go ahead and remove the rotor. So, back to the front rotor, that screw that we loosened, we can go ahead and take out. Save that guy because we're going to use it again. This rotor is very small. It's not very big. I'm going to set that guy aside. Just careful not to drop it because it has a lot of rust. You'll make a mess for yourself. You can clean your rotor off with a little bit of a cleaner before installing it. I've already done that. Gets most of your fingerprints and oils off, residues. But before you install it, you want to ensure that you line it up with that same hole that you had that screw in. So the hole's here, and when I install this, sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand. I want to ensure that that hole's lined up. Okay, perfect. Now all you got to do is kind of put that screw back in there, get it started. All right. I wish I had 3 hands to do this with. It would make it so much easier. All right, guys. Go ahead and tighten this up. Doesn't have to be crazy tight. Just want to put a little bit of pressure on there. Ensure that it's nice and seated. There you go. Okay, now the next part. I'm gonna go ahead and rest this camera back up here. We're going to work on the brake pads. This gets a little dirtier, so if you have gloves and you prefer to wear gloves, this would be the time to do it. I'll rotate this caliper over. I'll rest it right back in the same area. All right. So, what I like to personally do, before I take the inside or innermost brake pad off, let me see if I can adjust this a little better so you guys can see. All right. Better. I'll take this outer brake pad, pop it off. And this is the dust I was talking about. That's all brake does. Good stuff. I'll take a extension or some sort. You could use C-clamps, you could use anything that works for you. All I do is lay that across, bury another one here like a T, and just push very slowly. You're gonna see it start going in. Very slowly. And as I'm doing this, that's what that reservoir cap is off for, so you'll allow the pressure to be released at the tank. Basically reverse flowing. Okay, once it's in, now you can go ahead and remove the pads. This is the inner one that I use so that I wouldn't scar up my new ones. Pull that out, pop the other one out. That's it. Now they're out. Now the innermost has a little pin right here. That pin is the one that's going to go forward. So try and get you a better shot of that with the new one since this is all covered in dust. Okay. Here's the new one, and you'll see that little silver tab. So what you want to do is kind of lay this in there like a reverse banana. Slide one side in, these little clips, just like that. And the other one, same way. That's it, it's in. Now there is brake, quiet stuff that you can spray on it. Sometimes I use it, but it kind of becomes a mess. So I've kind of stopped using it for that reason. At least it gets everywhere on my hands, and I don't like that. And I hate working with gloves. The other one does not have that little silver tab, so it just can kind of pop in. Same kind of reverse banana looking direction. All I'm doing is just getting it lined up so it'll slide right in. And that's it. So this is a space that the new rotor has to go in through. So I might have to push this guy in a little bit more. Yeah, because if not, it's not gonna fit. So what I have to do now is pop this one back off because I don't want to damage the face of this. And I'll use the old one, the surface, to the new one. Use my same extension rod, just lay it in there. And just use that as my leverage. And that's it. That's all I'm doing. And it went in a little bit more. I don't need to push it in too crazy far, but just enough to clear the new rotor. The new rotor is a little thicker than the old one since it's not worn down. Plus the new pads, I don't know if you could see how thick they were compared to the new ones. So you might be able to see that. The thickness here versus the new one. It's a lot thicker. So let me go ahead and get this back in there. And that's it, she's in. Now, all we gotta do is take and sit this back on the rotor. See? Just like that. Easy peasy. Same bolts. Top to top. Just get them in there finger tight and then come back and tighten them. Just make sure you torque to your specific vehicle application. If you have the 1.8 turbo, not normally aspirated, or the 1.4. This one only has disc brakes in the front, so it has drums on the rear since it's an LS model. Everything's a little different, so just ensure that you verify your setting. All right. That's almost in by finger tight. Okay. Now, go ahead and tighten. I just try to seat them until they're tight, and then I'll come back and actually tighten them to where they need to be. That extension. Oops, wrong direction. All right. It's kind of cold today, so that's why I'm in the garage. Otherwise, I'd be doing this outside. Hopefully this does help somebody that might need a brake job and don't want to pay what the dealer charges. I've heard different prices, you know, flat out rates, $90 per axle or per hub. Like I said, parts cost me $60 and shipped to my front door. So that's for both sides. And it took me a matter of, I don't know, 10 minutes to do this one, 5 minutes to do it. And that's with me explaining using one hand. Just know you guys are capable. You guys are capable to do this. It's not like it's that hard. If you want, you can even paint this, make it color match, red, black, stain it, clean it, whichever. It's not that hard to do. I'm gonna attempt to do the rear brakes, but at a later time, not now. But hopefully, like I said, this helps somebody. Now, all I gotta do is just put the wheel back on and that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video now.